In my last video, I left off with finding a new cycling companion, a new would-be life partner, and it was love at first sight. So now I'm going to tell you the rest of the story, as the late great Paul Harvey would say. So I took this picture when I pulled up to the grocery store in Dyersville, Iowa. As I was getting my camera out and taking the picture, one of the workers came out and said, "Hey, you want a pup?" I thought, man, if I would love to have that little yellow lab. I'd take that pup in a New York minute. Because I've been a passionate dog lover my whole life, and I grew up in a family of cat lovers. So at the top of my Christmas list for years and years was a dog. And I suppose any dog would work, but a yellow lab, now that would be the ultimate. So I was thinking, man, if I only had a car. But wait a minute, this could be an interesting make adventure. So I went behind the store and I found an old banana box. And I figured out how to redistribute my gear, and I lashed it to the back of my bicycle. And I put the little yellow lab in and took him for a ride around the parking lot to try it out, and things were going pretty well. Then all at once he jumped out and started chasing a car. Well, it turns out that while I was doing my little test ride, somebody came by and picked up the little black sister pup and was driving away, and my pup jumped out and was chasing the car. So that was just like a real heartbreaker. I felt, I'm committed now. So I named the pup Max. I don't know why, the name just kind of popped into my head. And it really didn't make a lot of sense to take a dog, especially a kind of large dog, on a bicycle trip. I was pretty weight conscious to the point that I was actually drilling holes in my toothbrush handle to save some weight. So now I've got this 25-pound puppy, but wait, there's more, because I had to feed the puppy, and the smallest bag of dog chow I could get was 10 pounds. So with 35 extra pounds on an already overloaded bike, I made my way to the city park in Dyersville, and we set up our first camp together. And the next day, we woke up to pouring rain. And so we were grounded, but that was really a good thing, because I was able to get to know the dog a little bit. And I went dumpster diving. I found some plastic and a piece of paneling and bought a roll of duct tape, and I reinforced and waterproofed the box. And the next day we woke up and started our adventure together. And there was a little bit of a learning curve. Puppies, they sleep a lot. And the old saying, you let sleeping dogs lie. Well, whenever Max was asleep in his box, I pedaled, and sometimes that would be as much as 3 hours. One thing that I really wasn't counting on is the fact that, dogs love to chase bicycles as it is. Well, imagine how much more exciting it would be when there's a little puppy in the box on the back of a bike, barking and egging them on, So that was something I wasn't expecting. The extra weight was putting a strain on my bicycle, so I kept breaking spokes on my rear wheel for the first time. So that slowed me down. I would have to stop and repair my spokes, and that was a bit of an ordeal. My habit was to call my parents every Sunday afternoon. I would go to a payphone and make a collect call and just give them an update, tell them where I was and how I'm doing. And so I got Max on a Saturday, so the very next day I called home and I told him that I had a new riding partner. His name is Max, and I just kind of left it at that. The week after, the Sunday after, I called home, and they were a little concerned because they'd been tracking my progress on a map, and they realized that I wasn't going quite as far that week. And I said, well, yeah, Max is still with me. He's new to cycle touring, so I got to kind of show him the ropes, and he's slowing me down a little bit. And my mom asked, well, is he coming all the way home with you? And I said, well, yeah, he wants to come to Fairborn and see the Air Force Museum. And so that's where I left that. And so imagine the surprise when I walked into the house carrying this puppy and said, hey, Mom and Dad, this is Max. And so My mom was ready for him. She had made a lasagna dinner because she knew that, cyclists like extra pasta. She made up the guest room for him to sleep in. My dad made sure the car was available for me to take him to the Air Force Museum. So it was an interesting transition. So on the trip, we actually pedaled about 4,500 miles in 70 days. Max was with me for 11 of those days, and we traveled together 650 miles. And as you can imagine, there was a very special bond between me and Max that just carried on even after the trip. We were inseparable. He went everywhere with me, and everybody loved him. And he was even the ring bearer in my wedding. And by the way, that gal in the picture, in the wedding picture, my bride, she's the same young lady that gave me my walking papers and broke my heart and started this whole trip to begin with. So you see, she was the girl of my dreams, and she still is. Max lived a long life. Well, not a long life. He lived a fulfilling life. Unfortunately, not super long, because he died of cancer when he was 9 years old. And I was devastated. My loved ones thought they were going to have to bury me alongside the dog. It was still hard to talk about after all these years. So after Max, we had a steady stream of Labrador retrievers and lab mixes, and we even raised a couple leader dog puppies that became seeing eye dogs for the blind. So now I'd like to introduce you to our current labs. Sit. Come on. Sit. So we have these two knuckleheads now. That's because we believe the lie that it's easier to have two dogs because they keep each other company. For labs, it's really more like they amp each other up, and it's more like having 4 dogs. My daughter Sarah fell in love with Millie here when she was about 13 years old. She was the runt of the litter. And at the time, Sarah was begging for a horse. So as a parent, buying a lab is a lot more reasonable than buying a horse. And so we've had her for, she's 11 years old, and she's got a gray muzzle and cataracts, and she's becoming kind of an old lady, but she's a real sweetheart. It's going to be sad when she leaves this world. Maggie here is Millie's puppy, and Maggie is the definition of exuberance. She is a party waiting to happen. And when our kids would jump on the trampoline, Maggie would get up and jump with them. We had to put an end to it because she was straining her back, but that's just her personality. She loves to play, very enthusiastic. And I took this video last summer of these two in action. I call it synchronized diving, Duart Lake style. So thanks so much for watching the Sojourn Cyclery channel. Blessings and happy make adventuring.